First Class Productions.
What are you nostalgic about? Movies, TV shows, music, toys, video games? Or just certain memories from the past that fill you with joy but also make you a little sad that those days are over? I'm nostalgic about all of these pieces of nerd history.
There's one thing I might put above all else. The early days of the internet.
It was a much simpler time, and though I'm glad about the technological advances we have today, there was just something special about the internet experience in the 2000s. It was the Wild West of the World Wide Web. Downloading MP3s or low quality videos from strange sites was exciting but awful at the same time. Often the files came with viruses, and let's just say the internet connections back then weren't the fastest. But one day I discovered YouTube and it changed everything. When I opened my account in August of 2006, I initially did so because I wanted to add old school hip hop music videos to my favorites.
It would take 2 more years before I began my YouTube addiction that is still going strong to this day.
In September of 2008, I came across the top 10 worst and best fighting games by ScrewAttack on a site called GameTrailers.com. I got hooked immediately. I just hadn't seen anything like it before. Funny, high-quality videos for their time about topics I deeply cared about. Those videos led me to a series called You Know What's Bullshit, and I thought it was hysterical.
You know what's bullshit?
That brought me to a video of some nerd responding to a video by another nerd I didn't know about. Yes, my first video of the angry video game nerd I saw was the feud with the nostalgia critic. I got curious and so I started looking for more. I don't exactly remember which episode I saw first, but I believe it was Bugs Bunny's birthday blowout. It changed my world forever. For the first time ever, I binge-watched an online series and loved every minute of it. And so I discovered more stuff by its creator and star, James Rolfe. Everything he did back then was pure gold for me, whether it was his excellent movie reviews or just some random shit. Along with some other shows like K-Wing Reviews, the Alpha Nerd's Rad Retro Reviews, Classic Game Room, Substance TV by my late friend Brian, and of course ScrewAttack, the AVGN was my main influence when it came to creating my own little show in late 2009. I got inspired to be creative and tried to get my humble opinion out there. Hey everyone, this is GFrom bringing you my first video game review. Since then, I've been up to date with the James's company Cinemassacre and still watched most of his stuff. I even read his new book, which says something because I usually never read books. When it comes to AVGN, I've seen the episodes from 2006 to about 2010 like a million times. Most of them are timeless classics that still hold up today, especially seasons 2 and 3. There's just something about his delivery in these videos that brings me pure joy.
And when you kill them, they explode for like 3 hours and you just gotta stand back.
So yes, you could call me a huge fan of James Rolfe and the angry video game nerd. Guess how excited I was when I heard that a game based on the series would come out. Well, I kinda was, but didn't initially buy it.
The Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures was developed by FreakZone Games, published by ScrewAttack Games and released in 2013 on Steam.
Wait a minute, this game is already 10 years old? Super Mecha Death Christ.
Later it got released on Wii U and 3DS as well. I got the game about a year after its release on PC and absolutely loved it. In fact, I've only played 2 games on Steam longer than this. But, and here comes the embarrassing part, I've never been able to beat the final boss. And believe me, I've tried countless times.
Since I just completed an AVGN marathon, I got in the mood to play this game. It's been like 4 years since I last played it. Is it still as much fun a decade after its release? Let me take you back to the past to find out.
GFrom, the gamer, the legend, he's come to show you the way in this world of games. GFrom Reviews.
This game supports keyboard and gamepad controls. It didn't initially work with my DualShock 4 controller, but it wasn't anything DS for Windows couldn't solve. At first there are 3 difficulty settings to choose from. The nerd uses an NES Zapper as his primary weapon. Depending on the difficulty, the gun's color changes. This way you know I'm playing on normal and not easy.
It's true, I swear.
Not only do the enemies get stronger on higher difficulties, but hit points and lives are also reduced. Beating the game on old school unlocks an even harder setting. Anyway, the game starts with a classic combination of 8-bit pictures and text. AVGN and his friends play a shitty game and are suddenly zapped into the TV, or in the nerd's case, grabbed by his privates and pulled inside. He finds himself in a shitty game, the thing he hates the most. A firefly called Nagi, obviously based on Navi from Ocarina of Time, starts explaining the basics of the game.
Hey! Listen!
Most of it, like most forced tutorials, is super unnecessary and the nerd is terribly annoyed by it. Beer bottles restore your health and makes everything better.
Truer words have never been spoken.
The Nintoaster gives you a checkpoint.
And yes, it works.
There are a few power-ups. The balls are bad on purpose. The glitch gremlin does what you'd expect. He fucks shit up. You still take damage from the glitchy enemies. Super Mecha Deathcries rips everything to shreds and is the mightiest of power-ups. You start with 30 lives and every time you die you get a profanity-filled rant. These are fun at first, but after a while I stopped paying attention to them. The tutorial is just what it is, a tutorial. At least there is some humor thrown in. Gameland consists of 8 stages you can play in any order you like. I have a preferred order for reasons I'll get into soon. Let's start with Future Fuckballs 2010, a nod to Street Fighter 2010 for the NES. Right off the bat I have to say that this stage looks amazing with its popping colors. The beams are a one-hit kill, so avoid them at all costs. There are a ton of references to other games and I won't mention them all. Here we have Rob the Robot knockoffs and jetpack dudes that fly in the same pattern as some enemies in Silver Surfer. Waiting for you in every level are the so-called death blocks. Touch them and you're dead. Throughout the adventure you'll encounter 3 hidden characters that you can play as. They have to be found in a particular order. And that's why we play Future Fuckballs 2010 first, kids. Behind this well-hidden couch is the guitar guy Carl Justin. This was before he was resurrected with ABBA. He shoots sound waves that go through walls, but his jumps aren't as good. Characters are easily switched by the press of a button. Other people make cameos and are located in hard to find areas. They reward you with goodies, so it's worth hunting for them. In this case it's some dude who won a competition to be in the game. The cogs can be shot to move the pink platforms. Be careful not to ram into the death block. Here's something for all people who love the disappearing blocks from the old Mega Man games. You know, the same kind of people who love dental appointments. But it's pretty simple honestly. Timing is everything. What follows is an auto-scrolling shmup section on a silver surfboard. Of course you're attacked by scrotum guns and dick rockets.
Did you expect anything classier?
Scrotum guns.
Just mash buttons and you'll be fine. The boss is the green head from Cybermorph for the Atari Jaguar.
Where did you learn to fly?
Super easy, just shoot the small heads first and then the big one. This is a really fun stage that tests your reflexes and offers tense moments. It's one of the best for sure, even though it may involve a little too much waiting around. Next up, we're off to Dungeons and Dickholes. What a beautiful name for a stage. It starts with a ladder that leads to a joke from the Super Pitfall episode. Genius. First we're in a forest jumping on mushrooms while avoiding bubbles and some weird ass birds dumping dog turds. That's nasty. Most of the level takes place in a dungeon. One unique feature is that we have to collect keys. Shit Pickle is hidden through the game a few times.
Yeah, this is Shit Pickle.
At first I didn't know what to do here. There's no way to shoot him and he disappears right away. Turns out you get nothing except for a Steam achievement. Yay. The disappearing blocks in this level are a bit trickier. Getting hit knocks you back just a little bit, but it's enough sometimes. This is a part where we need the guitar guy to get to the next character, Mike. You know, Mike Matei. For some reason he has a lightsaber.
Well, Mike is such an angry person that I can't imagine him being a Jedi Knight. Maybe a Sith Lord.
Mike is faster, can jump really high, destroy certain walls and walk over invisible blocks. If this was Super Mario Bros. 2, he'd be Luigi, with a lightsaber. Occasionally you'll find the Super Scope, which is stronger than the Zapper, just like in real life. You lose it after getting hit however. Getting this key is such an ordeal. Damn! The cameos are by Jim Sterling and Mr. Destructoid. Never heard of them. We get another shmup sequence, this time on a tiny dragon. It's about the same difficulty as on the surfboard. The boss is the Giant Claw. I thought he was a little tougher because not only do we have to avoid the monster that's as big as a battleship, but also flying death blocks. I feel like this is one of the longer stages because it has you running back and forth at times. It's not exactly one of my favorites, but it's definitely above average.
Hey, you. Make sure you're alone for the next chapter.
It's Beat It and Eat It, based on the Atari porn episode. This stage is hysterical. It's filled with naked chicks waiting for a load, guys using their mighty schlongs as a pogo stick, and slippery man juice on the floor. We even get to bounce on Atari titties. Even the death blocks get a visual downgrade.
I can't believe my eyes. Never would I have imagined being in such a scenario.
By destroying this wall with Mike, we get to the final playable character. His face is bullshit, he thinks everything is bullshit, it's the bullshit man. He throws feces, can do a wimpy double jump, and is really slow. I rarely play as this clunky turd. Holy fuck, a naked old witch! Why would you shoot at boobies? One of many questions that won't get answered here. The boss is straight out of Custer's Revenge, a naked cowboy jacking off while spears fly all over. All to protect the chick at the cactus. This was more difficult than I remembered. He gets faster the more he gets hurt. Oh god. There are no cameos here. Jeez, I wonder why. This might be my favorite stage in the game. It may be a little shocking, but for me it's pure joy. I could bounce around on tits all day.
In this game, obviously.
No, but in all seriousness, it's the best part. The momentum feels just right, and avoiding death blocks to land on a pair of knockers feels strangely satisfying. Before I start perving out, let's move on to the next level. From here on out, it doesn't really matter in which order we play the stages. I went with Assholevania. Does it remind me of Castlevania? It sure does, but it also has the moon from Majora's Mask in the background. Disturbing. As it's the first level on the level select screen, I'm sure this is the stage most people picked first. It might have been mine too, but I don't really remember. What an introduction, because this is one of the demanding ones. It helps to have the hidden characters. The axe-throwing knights are easily defeated with a guitar guy. With Mike we get to meet Brentalfloss, one of my favorite YouTubers from back in the day. With a bullshit double jump we also get to meet Andre the Black Nerd. This part with the disappearing death blocks might give trouble to some people, especially when they have different patterns. You really have to concentrate. It's some intense shit but rewarding at the end. Damn, that's a shitload of hazards and enemies. Not even the power of Christ compelled them. The boss is Mr. Hyde, and just like in the NES game, he shoots his psycho wave at us. I completely forgot that he's invincible in this form. We have to wait for him to turn into Dr. Jekyll. Once I figured that out, he was a goner. I love Assholevania. That's a sentence you'll probably never hear me say again, so you'd better treasure this moment. I'm a fan of the old school Castlevania games, and while it's nowhere near as hard as those, it gives me a similar vibe with ugly Medusa head wannabes flying around and familiar obstacles being present. Great stuff. This leads us to Happy Fun Candy Time, probably the most cheerful level in the history of gaming. Don't trust all those smiley faces. They're overly delighted psychopaths. Even the sun is smiling. It's probably the sun from Teletubbies on acid. Some of the blocks look angry. Once you step on them and get spikes up your butt, they couldn't be happier. Most of the enemies can't be killed. At least we can fill Barney the dinosaur's testicles with pixel bullets. Here's another throwback to Super Mario Bros. 2 with waterfalls and logs. There are two cameos. First Whizzin' Boomstick from Death Battle. The second is Keith Apicary. Man, I used to watch his stuff all the time around 2009-2010. Of course he would later appear in an AVGN episode. This just reminds me so much of Airman's stage from Mega Man 2. The next section yet again requires perfect timing. After that we get ambushed by purple balls. Yuck. The boss is a flying unicorn that poops flowers, rainbows, and smiley faces. Is it disgusting, beautiful, or maybe even inspiring? I'm not quite sure. At first I had problems with it, but once you figure out the pattern, it gets easier. This is another really awesome and somewhat crazy stage. With the exception of the angry spike blocks, there's nothing that irks me about it. It just puts me in a good mood despite some of my failures.
I mean, what's better than bouncing around on gleeful jelly? Oh yeah, right.
Next up is
Blizzard of Balls!
The mandatory snow level. They should have called this level Blizzard as shit. Whether it's birds or reindeers, they all want to poop you to death. My personal nemesis is the snowman and his big ass balls. I died way more than necessary. Turns out the bullshit man is best for the job. The middle section is a labyrinth with ladders and fire traps. Here we meet Egoraptor. His awesome series is something I still quote all the time.
Doctor, my sister has cancer. Zombie cancer? Yeah!
The icy floor is slippery and it took me a while to get the timing right here at the fire. And because I failed to perform a bullshit double jump, I got my first game over. The message we get is legendary.
You're going to hell, live with it. Game over.
This means we have to restart the entire level. Back at the double jump we meet Angry Joe. The labyrinth itself is not too complicated, but it still drags a bit for me. Oh, an extra life! My greed has sealed my fate. These rising platforms remind me of Super Mario Land 2. Then the nerd does the unthinkable. He kills Santa Claus. What a cold-blooded bastard. And then what? He uses his dead body as a sledge. That's brutal! Short but amusing section. Also unsettling. At the end we fight the 3 ghosts of Christmas. You know, Stuttering Craig, Handsome Tom and Dracula from Simon's Quest. This was the boss I had the most trouble with because my approach was flawed. Like always you have to learn the pattern and then it gets simpler. Blizzard of Balls is one of 2 levels that I don't really care for. The labyrinth is kind of boring even though it's a unique setting in the context of this game. It's not bad, just not up to par with what we've seen earlier. Thy Farts Consumed is the mandatory fire level and a reference to the Ultimate Doom's Thy Flesh Consumed chapter. We're attacked by flaming skulls and caca demons. Why is there an opening if we can't go there? Stuttering Craig and Chad James make a cameo. So Craig shows up twice in the game. Good for him. Aw, hell yeah, we get to ride a fire shark that shoots lasers out of its eyes. Carnage! That section was way too short. Most of the level consists of dodging fireballs and arrows. Within just a few minutes, Satan comes crashing down on you. This is one of the easier bosses as long as you pay attention to the death blocks. With the exception of the insane fire shark, this is probably the least memorable stage. I enjoyed it nonetheless due to the lack of anything overly sucky. All that's left is...
Boo! Haunted house.
It's a horror-themed stage with limited visuals. Running into death blocks will most certainly happen. Here we meet the completionist and later Pat the NES punk. The green blocks are my least favorite part. Reminds me of the spider level in World of Illusion. It doesn't help that the ghosts can't be killed. Every now and then Freddy Krueger aka Bimmy taunts us.
Bimmy isn't even a real name.
Man, these fucking death blocks annoy the shit out of me. They don't bother me too much in the other levels, but here there's a minefield of them. Oh come on man, that's just cheap. Thankfully the witches have clothes on this time. Not only do we have to fight Bimmy at the end, but also Jimmy aka Jason. Multitasking has never been one of my strengths, so this took some practice back then. This time it was no big deal.
Boo! Haunted house.
This is probably my least favorite stage. Either this or the snow level. It's too slow for my taste and relies more on trial and error than the rest. With everything beaten, we unlock the final level.
Laughin', Jokin', Numbnuts.
This stage beat the crap out of me when I first played it. It is full of instant deaths and surprise traps. You have to plan ahead your jumps constantly, and I'd say it's impossible to beat it on your first try without dying at least once. It looks freaking amazing with the vibrant rainbow colors, but damn is it difficult. Many elements get recycled from previous levels, so this is the ultimate test of everything we've learned on this journey. Some parts are ridiculous at first. The shark gave me so much trouble in fact that I got my second game over on this run. Of course death blocks can't be missing. Oh lord, the limited vision even returns for a brief moment. Why? We even get to fly on the silver surfboard once again. Because I've played this stage so often I can get through most parts without suffering, but it was a lot of hard work to get there. Here he is, the final boss. It's none other than Fred Fox.
Oh my god, it's Fred Fox.
Well, actually, his name is Fred Fuchs. Fuchs is fox in German. But let's stop ruining jokes.
Like I said in the beginning of this video, I have never beaten this asshole. The first phase is a cinch, just avoid the fireballs. Then 2 spiked balls appear, but it's basically the same pattern as before. In the third phase he gets massive diarrhea and it starts raining shit. You can't shoot the turds and they're not that easy to avoid. So mostly I fail here. It's so depressing to lose because you got pooped on. Sometimes I made it to the 4th phase. Now he swings a chained spike ball. I'd say this phase is not as hard as the poop, but by this point I'm usually low on health. There are 2 beer bottles on the side, but there are spikes under them. I wasted 17 lives on this douche and didn't even get to the final phase.
Getting a game over sucks so hard because we have to replay the entire level again.
I've made it through that stage without losing a single life before, that's how often I tried.
I'm so determined to beat him with the remaining 15 lives I had.
I almost feel like I could play the first 2 phases blindfolded. It's the shit that fucks with me. On the chain spike ball I tried to stay on the left corner shooting diagonally and that kind of worked better. The pattern is quite predictable. Finally I made it to the 5th and final phase. 2 chains. I died within seconds.
I know it's not impossible, but I keep fucking up and have been fucking up for 9 years.
In moments when I accidentally fall into the pit, I just really hate myself. I keep jumping into the spikes.
Whenever I get to the final phase, I get so nervous that I make really stupid mistakes. Talk about performance anxiety.
Oh my god, I'm so close. I only need 1 more shot, but I'm almost dead. Focus. Focus. Jump. Jump. Come on. Come on. Yes! Yes! I made it! I fucking made it! I fucking beat motherfucking Fred fucking Fox!
I feel so relieved right now, you can't believe it.
And for what? 3 pixely pictures with text. I don't care because I just accomplished something I thought I could never do. After over 40 hours of gameplay over a period of 9 years, I finally beat the Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures. The LGN level is really great, even though it's the most difficult stage in the game. The Fred Fox fight is way too hard. Like seriously, it's ridiculous. Maybe I'm the only one who had such massive problems with him, I don't know. It's safe to say he's my arch nemesis and I kicked his ass. Mission accomplished. The sound effects are pretty much what you would expect. The retro sound for the guns and the enemies, for example, are fitting for a game like this. Of course, the fart and shit sounds can't be missing. It's just something that has to be in a game about a guy who takes a dump on pretty much anything and anyone. I usually turn down the sound effects a notch because it can be a bit much when it's getting crazy on screen. Plus, I want to hear more of the music. Oh, the music. Easily the best part of the entire game. It's in the style of old 8-bit games, but way more polished, better sounding and cleaner. Most tracks are so energetic and kick-ass that it fills my body with an insane amount of adrenaline while playing. I have listened so much to it and honestly consider it one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. I'm not kidding.
I'm telling you in all sincerity, it's way better than it needs to be.
Seriously, it goes above and beyond to give you a great time. There's only one track I don't care about, and that's
Blizzard of Balls!
even though I'm not into
Boo! Haunted House.
the music is incredible and makes the level a little more tolerable. The Dungeons and Dickholes theme keeps you on your toes and is a pleasure to listen to. I love how the AVGN theme song is sprinkled throughout the adventure, like when you clear a stage.
Laughin', Jokin', Numbnuts.
Really speeds it up and even makes me a bit nervous. It just enhances the experience and makes it that much more intense. Just like the final battle theme, shit's getting real.
I could rank the entire soundtrack, but that would take too long, so I narrowed it down to my absolute favorites. All of them deserve the #1 spot, so let's just say this was extremely difficult. Here are my top 5 songs from the Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures.
Number 5. Future Fuckballs 2010 is one of the slower tracks, but I absolutely love the sound. The last stretch is phenomenal. Number 4. Just like the stage itself, this song is so uplifting and motivating. I can't sit still as it makes me want to jump around in the sunshine and go crazy. Number 3. This track is pure perfection. From beginning to end, it slams so hard and has everything I need to make it through Assholevania. Number 2. Beat It and Eat It has the catchiest song of them all. It invites you to a dance party in a pixelated strip club full of witch titties and pogo dicks. Hard pass on those, but I'll take the music any day. Number 1. Just like Assholevania, Thy Farts Consumed is a straight up banger. I like this track the most because it keeps the action going throughout. A flawless example of why this is such a killer soundtrack.
Let's wrap this up.
AVGN Adventures is hard and not always for the right reasons. It's obvious that it's inspired by NES games with unfair difficulty, so it's expected that you won't breeze through the levels. Still, I think there's a difference between difficult and cheap. I agree with most people that they overdid it with the death blocks. What good are 3 beers when you die with 1 hit in so many places? The bosses are all beaten by button mashing. If that's something you're not good at, you're going to have a problem. In general, I wish all of the bosses had some sort of connection to the series or Cinemassacre. Like, what's the deal with the rainbow unicorn? The cameos are a nice touch, I guess, but ultimately they're pointless, just like Shitpickle. With the exception of the 3 unlockable characters, there's not really any replay value except if you're going for higher difficulties. I mostly play as AVGN and only switch characters when I feel it's really necessary. He's the most balanced character with the best weapon. I could replay the game over and over, however. Why? It's just that much fun. Granted, the controls aren't perfect yet and the jumping feels a little stiff sometimes. But damn, do I have a great time playing through most of these colorful and action-packed stages. Whether it's a world full of smiley faces or pixel porn, it almost never gets boring for me. The art style is on point for what it's trying to achieve. In combination with the music, it just works so well together. The soundtrack alone elevates the experience to unexpected heights. On normal, it's very challenging at first, and even today I struggle at some points. I'm not really a fan of having lives.
Sure, it was standard back in the day, but I think it's gone for a reason.
It's beyond tedious to replay the entire stage just because you ran out of lives at the boss.
And starting a level with just 1 life left is pointless. Might as well commit suicide to start with 30 lives instead.
If you're into old school platformers, you should absolutely give this game a shot. Should that not be your cup of tea, I'm afraid you won't enjoy this too much. Fans of AVGN will get a kick out of it either way. Maybe start on easy and work your way up. For me, it's so satisfying to beat some of the relentlessly hard parts it throws at you. I'm looking at you, Fred Fuchs.
The big question is, should you go back to the original Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures now that the remastered version has been out for over 2 years? Well, it depends. I won't go into detail about the new version yet. You'll have to wait for part 3 of this mini-series.
The original is more challenging on normal and is the only version with the cameos. Other than that, there's really no reason to choose this over the remastered port.
Hold on for a second. Did I just say something about a 3-part miniseries? Oh yeah, I sure did. 'Cause guess what? Not only is there a remastered version, no. There's a sequel! I love Assholevania. I love Assholevania.
I love Assholevania. I love Assholevania. Hey everyone, this is GFrom. Thank you so much for watching episode 3 of season 3. Stay tuned for the next 2 parts of this miniseries. There's also a short music video coming up. I'll see you later. Have a nice day.